What do a quiet monastery, a humble monk, and a garden of pea plants have in common? They sparked a scientific revolution that changed biology forever. This is the story of Gregor Mendel, the father of modern genetics. Gregor Mendel was born on July 20th, 1822, in the small village of Heinzendorf, in what is now the Czech Republic. He came from a modest farming family, and his early years were shaped by rural life, financial hardship, and chronic illnesses. Despite these challenges, Mendel showed a passion for learning. He attended the Philosophical Institute in Olmütz, where he studied physics and mathematics fields that would later shape his scientific approach. In 1843, Mendel joined the Augustinian Abbey of St. Thomas. The monastery provided him with both spiritual guidance and intellectual freedom. It also gave him access to a library, a laboratory, and a garden, which were resources that would be vital to his research. Though ordained as a priest, Mendel never stopped exploring science. In fact, he was sent to the University of Vienna in 1851 to study science more formally. The intersection of religion and science is usually a contradictory one, yet Mendel's involvement in both areas and his open-mindedness accelerated his inquiries into genetics. Back at the monastery, Mendel began his now famous pea plant experiments in 1856. Over the course of 8 years, he meticulously bred and cross-pollinated over 28,000 pea plants. He chose pea plants because they had easily observable traits like flower color, eye seed shape, and plant heightened. They reproduce quickly, which is a reason the pea plant is an excellent model organism. By tracking how traits appeared across generations, Mendel noticed predictable patterns in heredity that had not yet been formally theorized. Mendel discovered that traits are passed down in discrete units, what we now call genes. He formulated 2 foundational laws. The law of segregation. Each organism carries 2 alleles for each trait, which segregate during reproduction. The law of independent assortment. Traits are inherited independently of each other. In other words, the expression of one gene does not affect the expression of another gene. His work revealed dominant and recessive traits, explaining why some characteristics skip generations. This answered many questions and assumptions about phenotype expression in organisms. Though Mendel published his findings in 1866, they were largely ignored during his lifetime. This seems to be a trend with 19th century scientists, unfortunately, as academia in Europe was still controlled by the Protestant and Catholic churches. It wasn't until 1900, more than 3 decades later, that 3 independent scientists, Hugo de Vries, Karl Correns, and Erich von Chermot, rediscovered Mendel's work and recognized its importance. Today, Mendel is rightly known as the father of genetics. His pioneering research laid the groundwork for everything from genomics to modern medicine. All thanks to one monk, a few plants, and a lifelong passion for understanding how life is inherited. As Mendel once said, "My scientific studies have afforded me great gratification, and I am convinced that it will not be long before the whole world acknowledges the results of my work." Turns out he was correct. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow. See you next time on Snapshot Science.